have ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Planning. And what it means is, and when it says, whenever you hear that word enterprise, it means the whole organization. So it's not just going to impact just one department or one function, it's impacting the entire organization as a whole. So these ERP systems, they are comprehensive, integrated software solutions designed to manage various business processes across departments and functions. It involves all the department and functions. And that's why you see that it's all connected to the ERP. Now, here we have some benefits of ERP: data security, increased productivity, centralized data, compliance, forecasting, customer service, flexibility, reporting. And you see here that it says it's an integrated suite that can be used to run almost every aspect of the organization. So it's going to impact every single of the function, every single function in that organization. It's not just going to be for only HR or for only IT. It's the entire organization, right? So like it says here, it helps automate and manage business processes across functions. It helps you manage various aspects of your business in one centralized place. And this is what the ERP process looks like. You have defined scope of project, select an ERP system, there are different ERP systems, create a project plan, make achievable schedules, define implementation phases, communication plan, arrange midway approvals, plan your testing, migrate business data, change management, plan go live, support maintenance. Now, what are the key differences between BI, business intelligence, and ERP? So the main difference is BI, business intelligence, is more strategic level and ERP is more operational level. Okay. Now, BI would use the OLAP, the online analytical processing system, while ERP would use the online transaction processing system. Now, BI helps the organization to have greater agility, while ERP helps the organization to have greater efficiency. All right. Now here it talks about budgeting. Budgeting basically four main types. It's mainly a written estimation of the financial performance of that organization, how the organization intends to spend its finances. Now, zero-based budgeting is where it begins from scratch every year. So the current year's budget is prepared from scratch. We don't consider the previous year's budget. Now, traditional budgeting or historical budgeting is where we keep using the previous budget as the base, and then we can make changes based on inflation or consumer demand or market situations. With incremental budgeting, it also uses the historical budget or the previous year's budget as a base, but this time you make some increments to the budget. So it's prepared by making changes in the past year's budget, considering inflation as a factor. So it might increase this year's budget, might be 2 or 5% of last year's budget. And if last year's budget was not spent up, then it might reduce it a little bit. But activity-based budgeting is where the budget is prepared based on the cost drivers that that organization has. Now, these are different types of nonprofit budget. You don't particularly have to worry too much about this, but this just says operational budget. The budget is done based on the operations, right? The annual projected revenue and expenses. Capital budget is based on long-term or multi-year projects, which are probably capital intensive, and that's what the budget is based on. Program budget is based on specific programs. And grant is based on how the organization will use grant funds if the proposals are accepted. Now, operating budget basically is saying that, okay, this are our operations and we need to make our budget in line with those operations. Capital expenditure budget is based on long-range planning, like we talked about here. Okay. Now here you have basically, we talked about zero-based budgeting already. Top-down just means The budget is being done by senior management and then passed down to the individual team members of the different departments. But bottom up is the opposite of the top down budgeting. So in this case, the individual teams, they come together, they put together the different budgets, and then they, in having put together that budget, then they then pass that on to senior executive for them to take a look and approve. We talked about zero-based budgeting already, that every year you have to start from zero. We're not taking into account the previous year's budget. Now, the hybrid budget is where you're able to have your executives and board, as well as your team members or the members of the department, they come together to put that budget together. So it's like a hybrid of top-down and bottom-up. Now, the strategic budgeting process is set long-term goals and objectives, identify your key initiatives, develop your financial projections, allocate resources, and monitor progress. Now, we kind of touched on business case when we talked about leadership before, but I'll just touch on it a little bit more here. It says it captures the reasoning for initiating a project or task. And the logic is that any initiative that would involve money or effort, then there should be a specific business need for that initiative. And that is what is captured in the business case. So the business case provides that justification for undertaking the project. And then in a business case, you should have your statement of need, recommended solution, the timeline, the risk, the opportunities, the estimated cost and time frames. And this is exactly what it looks like, the key elements of a business case. We see reasons, options, benefit, cost, time scales, risk. But here is where I want you to look at. You need to know the business needs and outcomes, the preliminary options, that needs to be included, the viable options, you do a cost-benefit analysis, then the justification for the option that is preferred, the cost, the risk, the implementation plan, then management and capacity.